Hey everyone, my name is Carrie, and I did my project this week on Esther. Of course, she has kind of her own book in the Bible. You don't have to go looking around to figure out where to find her. And she's part of the historical books in the Old Testament. And I chose her because she's one of those figures that's not super straightforward. As you're looking at commentary about the book of Esther, there's been a lot of back and forth about whether it should even be included in the Bible because it doesn't explicitly talk about God in the book itself. And so I've always found that really, really interesting about this book and just kind of how it's so different from the other books in the Old Testament. And so that's kind of why I chose her. And so she first shows up in the second chapter of Esther. The first chapter is really just about King Xerxes and how the position of queen became available in his kingdom because of him essentially kicking his wife out because she didn't listen to one of his orders. And so yeah. And then I went to Esther chapter 2, verse 7 is where we first see her. And in my project, I was looking at a couple different commentaries and stuff, and it all seemed to come back to three specific points. And those points were that Esther is kind of like Daniel in that it's talking about how people, if they are public servants, if they're servants of governmental offices, even in other lands, that they can have influence for the greater good by serving those people. But in order to do that, they need to stay true to their positions. They need to stay true to their convictions and their faith. And also that when they have the option or the ability to make a difference when it comes to the people of God, that they not only have the option, but also the responsibility to make that difference, to stand up for those things, even if it's dangerous for them. The second point was about what I kind of referenced when I first started my talk here, is that Esther does not explicitly reference God. Instead, it kind of goes through a long list of what would be quote-unquote coincidences that seem to imply the work of God in the background. So in doing so, it also illustrates the need for Purim, which is a Jewish festival that's dictated in the Torah. So it kind of provides background for that as well. And the third point was essentially that Esther is an all-encompassing theme of God's faithfulness to his people, because these are diaspora of Jews that did not go back to the homeland when they were released from Babylon. And so these are people that chose not to go home, and God is still faithful to them. At one point, Xerxes even recognizes them as the children of the living God. And in the article that I was reading about it was talking about, it said, and this is a quote, it says, the identity of the hidden God must be self-evident. And that's perfectly encompasses what the book of Esther is.